But the hardwood takes center stage as two city schools renew an old rivalry. Duquesne is looking to upset their Big East opponents from Pittsburgh. The 81st City Game tips off next. Welcome to ESPN3 College Basketball, presented by Allstate. We're proud to present the 81st City Game as the Duquesne Dukes face the Pitt Panthers live from the Consol Energy Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hi again, everybody, along with former South Carolina coach Darren Horn. I'm Tim Neverett. In the early stages of this series, which began in 1932, Duquesne had the upper hand, but Pittsburgh has won a series record 11 straight. The Dukes certainly have their work cut out for them tonight, trying to upset their friends from the Big East Conference. But Darren, each team presents its own set of challenges to the other in this one.
Well, they really do for Duquesne. Obviously an uphill battle against the size, strength, and experience of Pittsburgh tonight, Tim. And Pittsburgh is going to have to contend with Duquesne's fast style of play. Jim Ferry brings a style to the Dukes that led the country in scoring, or was in the top 5 2 of the last 4 years when he was at LIU.
Let's take a look at our one-on-one tonight. Sean Johnson needs just 18 points for Duquesne to get 1,000 for his career. He's playing in his 101st game for the Dukes. And Trey Woodall, he is an engine that makes the Panthers go.
Well, Sean Johnson's a guy that they're going to need a lot tonight on Duquesne's end. He's a scorer. He's really good driving the basketball. He's got a ton of free throw attempts this year. But what they need more than anything from him tonight, Tim, is his poise. This is a very young Duquesne basketball team here in the City Game tonight.
And Trey Woodall, a guy to keep an eye on in this one.
Well, Trey Woodall is the consummate veteran guard. He's got 45 assists in just 8 games played. He's shooting 47% from the field, and he's second on the team in steals. He's a rock for Jamie Dixon and the Pittsburgh Panthers, and a real key to their great start so far.
Trey Woodall for Pitt, Sean Johnson for the Dukes of Duquesne. It's the 81st City Game. Tip-off coming up from Pittsburgh next. Back in Pittsburgh on a beautiful December evening, Duquesne and Pitt. The Consol Energy Center, right across the street, literally, from the Duquesne campus, and just down the street from Pitt's campus. These two city schools going at it here tonight. Duquesne starters, Derek Coulter. He is a DC kid, a freshman point guard. Jeremiah Jones, Sean Johnson, Kadeem Ponteflette, and Andre Marhold. Marhold, one of 2 seniors on this Duquesne team. And for head coach Jim Ferry, comes over from LIU Brooklyn, where his teams were one of the nation's leaders in scoring. He'll play an up-tempo style of offense. For Pitt, Woodall, and the freshman guard James Robinson out of the Baltimore area. He is a very good one. Lamar Patterson, solid shooter. Talib Zana has been one of their best players this year. And the freshman 7-footer from New Zealand, Steven Adams. Jamie Dixon in his 14th year with the Panthers, 10th year as head coach. Pittsburgh won its 1,500th game as a school last time out against Detroit. So looking for 1,501 here tonight, coming 7-1, while Duquesne is 4-3. And in this series, Pittsburgh has won a series high 11 straight. They lead this overall series 49-31. Duquesne lost one by just a single point in 2000 on the 2nd of December. This series beginning in 1932 when Duquesne took 6 of the first 8 games.
One of the things that's unique about this rivalry, Tim, is that it's not really even cross town. It's just down the street.
Jim Ferry has his work cut out whenever you take over a program, Darren. You've got players you inherit. You want to bring in your own players, but he is upbeat, he is energetic, and he really does a good job selling this Duquesne program.
Well, really impressed visiting with Jim at walkthrough today. Their team was high energy. Their practice was very sharp. They're committed to a style of play that he's had a lot of success with. The challenge is going to be, Tim, implementing it early and doing it against the likes of a team like Pittsburgh.
Adams will jump center with Marhold. Duquesne in red, Pitt in white. This is a neutral court game. However, Pitt has the home designation, therefore the home uniforms. And Robinson with the basketball as we get underway here at the Consol Energy Center. He is guarded by Derek Coulter. Now Woodall on the right side to Zana. Zana has been a force inside for Pittsburgh. Turnaround no good, and Johnson pulls down the first rebound of the game. Last year, rebounding a big struggle for Duquesne. This year, not so much. And they get off to a good start as Sean Johnson drains the three.
Well, that's what you want to see from your veteran guard in a big game like this. Comes out and knocks down a three in transition. We're going to see a lot of transition threes from Duquesne tonight.
Jamie Dixon told his team at shoot-around today they will shoot from behind the arc, expect it. And the first shot of the game from Duquesne was a made three by Johnson. Zana going toward the basket, and he turns it over. Traveling violation, and the ball back to the Dukes.
Obviously an emphasis from the Pittsburgh Panthers going inside early. You see Zana, very rarely does he make a mistake trying to do too much. Got caught with steps right there.
Coulter hands off to Kadeem Ponteflet. Now Johnson with a right-hand dribble. Certainly Marhold at 6'6" is going to have his challenge with the 7-footer Steven Adams on him. Now the switch up. And Warner, Ponteflet. Picked up by Zana and taken away by Adams. Running is Woodall. Pass to Robinson. Robinson to the basket. And it's 3-2. The freshman James Robinson out of DeMatha High School. Pitt actually began recruiting him when he was in the 9th grade.
Good decision on Jamie Dixon's part. Terrific guard, plays well beyond his years. Big East freshman of the week.
Lay-in is missed by Ponteflet. Rebound Adams. Robinson again. He'll kick it back out. Patterson's got it with Coulter on it. Pass off to Adams, the jump shot. Rebound Ponteflet, and the Dukes will run, and they will run. They'll try to move the ball up and down the floor quickly. Marhold double. Back out to Coulter. He'll launch. Another rebound for Adams. And Adams looks like he could have a night under the boards here. Patterson. Rebound kicked around. Duquesne finally with it. Pittsburgh is 1 for 4 from the field in the early going.
Well, and sometimes a misconception of a team like Pittsburgh that's so good in the half court is that they don't want to run. They will definitely run when given the opportunity. But the difference is Duquesne has to run and play in transition to have a chance to win.
Coulter trying to dribble around Patterson. And Marhold going with the right hand. Stripped away, and here's Robinson leading the Pittsburgh charge up the floor. Robinson lost his footing, turns it over. A traveling violation. That's the second turnover for Pitt.
You saw in that last possession offensively by Duquesne, Tim, why it's so important for them to get out in transition and be able to move the basketball, because if they have to go in the half court like we see in that clip, it's going to be really hard for them to be aggressive and be productive.
Just lost that pivot foot, tried to use that left foot as his pivot foot. Gave out from underneath him, so a traveling violation. Well, Coulter walked into a starting point guard job for Duquesne as there was nobody in the backcourt left for the Dukes after the season last year. 2 graduations and a transfer at that point guard position. So Jim Ferry had to go out and recruit too quickly. He had recruited Coulter to go to LIU Brooklyn, and then made a phone call and said, how do you feel about Pittsburgh? We need a point guard.
It's always good when that works out, and when you scramble and get a job in the spring, credit Jim Ferry and the staff, they got some good players.
Ball to the rack. Shot redirected slightly by Adams. And a miss on that high percentage shot. Patterson launches a three. Got it. Lamar Patterson gives Pitt their first lead of the game, 5-3. Each team with a three-point basket made. On to Flint. To Jones. Back outside to Coulter. And Duquesne trying to work its way out of the half court. Another strip by Robinson. Now Robinson guarding Coulter. Coulter, a freshman. That's probably almost a break for him in a way, considering the guys he's had to cover recently. Ray McCallum of Detroit, a solid NBA prospect. C.J. McCollum of Lehigh, another solid NBA prospect. And Tim Hardaway Jr. of Michigan, another guy that he has had to cover recently. And Robinson seems to draw all those tough defensive assignments.
Well, I think that really speaks to the confidence that Jamie Dixon has in him, Tim. As I mentioned earlier, he is a young man that is only a freshman but plays well beyond his years, and he comes in physically ready to take on those defensive assignments as a freshman.
Pitt's on a 5-0 run right now. They're going down 3-0. And the three-pointer made by Sean Johnson to start the ball game. A bit more urgency on the defensive pressure right now. An offensive foul as Patterson pushed off, and Johnson drew the foul. So Lamar Patterson picks up his first personal and a turnover for Pitt. Timeout on the floor, 15:46 to go in the first half. It's a 2-point Pittsburgh lead. Back in Pittsburgh, along with Darren Horn, Tim Neverick. Glad you're watching ESPN3 college basketball tonight. 5-3, Pitt in front. Jim Ferry's team down by a bucket after getting the first basket of the game. And let's take a look at this last sequence, Coach.
Well, these are the plays, if you're Jim Ferry, that just make you cringe. You got an opportunity to get a dunk at the basket, and then you come down on the other end and you give up a three. And credit Pittsburgh, good job of patience. You see James Robinson taking his time. All right, Patterson comes out, gets his feet set, knocks down the three.
Duquesne with a basketball. Jerry Jones has entered, also Kevin Winters. And Coulter trying the three. This one is knocked around, and J.J. Moore picks it up. And Moore fouled from behind by Jerry Jones. That'll be his first, team second. Jones, the junior, out of Detroit, Michigan. J.J. Moore will man the inbound. He's a junior from Brentwood, New York. Pretty good dunker, too. He won the throwdown showdown just prior to the season beginning. And puts on a bit of a show in practice every now and then. Foul is going to be called on Marhold. Andre Marhold picks up his first, team's third for the Dukes.
J.J. Moore is a crucial player for Pittsburgh because of his athleticism and his ability to create offense and make plays using his athleticism on the offensive end.
Well, Martin Zabelli, 7-footer, 7'1" from Saldus, Latvia, has entered the game wearing 33 for Duquesne. He is a big body on the floor right now. Adams, a 7-footer for New Zealand, on the bench. Cam Wright. To Robinson. Patterson with time. Just under 15 minutes to go, first half. Low scoring start to this one. Dante Taylor with a baby hook. Rebound Moore. His lay-in missed everything. And here come the Dukes. No look pass, right side, went to Winters. And Jones swatted away by Taylor. Good block, Dante Taylor. Cross court Moore, the lob for Taylor, and a foul is called inside on Jerry Jones. That'll be his second quick one.
Probably not the shot Jim Ferry was looking for in transition. That led to another bad shot that gets blocked and gets Pittsburgh out in transition. It's an off-balance, poor shot by Jones right there.
No substitution as Coulter will come up. P.J. Torres will replace him, the sophomore from New Rochelle, who's asked to play a number of different positions. Offensive foul is going to be whistled against Dante Taylor of Pittsburgh. So a turnover for Pitt, and the ball back to Duquesne. Jamie Dixon doesn't like it. Jamie, pretty good player in his day at TCU, and also professionally in New Zealand.
One of the things we're seeing right now, Tim, from both these teams is that it's a rivalry game. Kids are excited to play, a little anxious maybe. It's a little sloppy on the early going.
Robinson trying to accelerate from the paint. Dishes off to Patterson. Spin move by Patterson. Score the basket. 5 points for Lamar Patterson at 7-3. Long bomb, and that one missed. Taken by Jeremiah Jones. Ball headed back Pittsburgh's way. Coming off the Pitt bench is Deron Johnson. He replaced Patterson. Pretty nice move by Patterson. Well, last time these two teams really battled in a close one was the 2009 game, which was the final game played at the old arena across the street, Mellon Arena. Moore couldn't get that one to go. Off the top of the rim, a belly. Tallest man on the floor rips it down and then throws it away. Ball back to Pittsburgh. That game at Mellon Arena, Darren, went to double overtime before Pitt prevailed. Pitt had to come back down by 17 or 18 points in the second half. They managed to tie it late. Frustrating for Duquesne to get a possession and then turn it over. Duquesne has not scored a field goal in 6 minutes. They had the first basket of the game, and that's been it. Woodall didn't get the roll, and the rebound ripped down by Kevin Winters.
Duquesne has to get something easy in transition, Tim, or they're going to go a lot longer without scoring.
Foul is going to be called on Dante Taylor. That'll be his second. So Taylor will head to the bench, and the freshman Steven Adams will check back in. Adams had 2 points his last time out against Detroit. And there's 2 points for the other 7-footer on the floor, Belly.
Great call by Jim Ferry right there. That's a scouting call. Pittsburgh likes to trap handoffs on the inbounds. They fake the handoff, get the wide open dunk. Good call.
Belly is a transfer. Started with Radford. Johnson gets the ball to Woodall. Woodall gets a screen from Adams. And Johnson around Torres. Pull-up pops too long. Now Duquesne with a chance. 12.5 minutes left. First half. It's a 2-point game. Chance for Duquesne to tie it or take the lead. Belly ripping the rim. 4 points on 2 dunks for him.
Well, we talked earlier about Duquesne's youth, but there's an example of Pittsburgh's youth coming up. Steven Adams really gets lost in the pick-on-ball defense, and they dump it down inside for an easy basket.
side. Adams foul. So Adams is fouled by Abelli. Abelli's able to get to the hoop. Look at that.
And if you're Jamie Dixon, when you watch that film, what's going to bother you is not the fake handoff, but that everybody on the weak side was hugged up to their man and not in the paint ready to give help.
Adams from the line. This is the first one.
Well, I'm talking with the Pittsburgh staff earlier today, Tim. Still really high on Steven Adams, but even though he's a terrific talent, consensus top 5 recruit, he's going through what most freshmen go through. He's adjusting to the speed and the game of college basketball.
They missed them both, but got the rebound. Woodall for 3. Yes! So 2 missed free throws turned into a 3-pointer.
Number one concern of Jim Ferry coming into the game, rebounding. And right there, and a chance when you have your rebounding set on a free throw, they give up a 3. You can't be happy about that.
Torres whips it back for Winters. Dead on 3 off the glass. The bank is open for Kevin Winters, freshman from Milwaukee.
We're sitting pretty close, and I did not hear him call that.
He didn't call it. Well, he has been a scorer for Jim Ferry's Dukes. He scored in double figures in a team-high 4 games this year, 4 out of their 7 games. Step-back jumper for Woodall, too short. Adams battling Abelli. Duquesne wins the basketball. There's Binney. Binney up top to Abelli. Torres tries to set things up for Duquesne. 10-10. And a 3 ball. Tipped around by Adams, and Moore comes up with it. Well, what challenges defensively is Duquesne presenting to Pitt?
Well, I think the way that they have the floor spread and the fact that they are moving the ball well and shooting it from the perimeter, it's going to open up some offensive rebounding for them as well.
A step back by Steven Adams. That's what Pitt fans have been expecting to see more of from the 7-footer.
That's really the best thing that Steven Adams could do right now is stay focused on making athletic plays. All of the basketball things he needs to learn will come, but he can do that as well as any freshman in the country.
Woodall goes coast to coast and scores. And he is fouled. Count the basket. Foul will be called on P.J. Torres. So a possible 3-point play for Trey Woodall when we come back. 10:20 left in the first half. The miss, but there is Steven Adams with the flush. (14-10), Pitt leading Duquesne almost halfway through the first half of play. Martin's Abelli. A couple of dunks for him in the paint. Well, the 7-footers are starting to show up.
Easy baskets are so important to get, especially in a rivalry game like this. You see the 2 from the big fella for the Dukes. And then, of course, Outstanding freshman from Pittsburgh on the other end, and he got that on the offensive glass. Again, that's an area that he could be so good in, and an area that Jim Ferry was really worried about coming into this game.
Duquesne is 4 out of 15 from the field. 2 of those 4 are dunks.
They need to take more of those. They're high percentage shots for him.
Dunks are 3-pointers. So Adams into the offense. And Woodall at the line. He was fouled by Torres just before the break.
You talked about the dunks and the 3-pointers. Jim Ferry alluded to that earlier, talking about they don't have a lot of guys that create off the dribble or make offense for themselves. So they're going to be a lot of shots at the rim for them and a lot from behind the arc.
That foul by Torres was the 6th team foul. So the next team foul by Duquesne will put Pittsburgh in the bonus. Johnson guarded by Ron Johnson. Another rebound for Adams, his 3rd. Woodall the no look. Cameron Wright going to the basket. Defended by Jeremiah Jones. Jones forced him to redirect that shot. Now Wright trying that same angle. Coulter on the run. A 3-on-1 for Duquesne. And Adams ends up with a basketball off the Sean Johnson miss.
Got to get something out of that one. Got to go strong to the basket, get fouled, or get it on the rim.
Well, the tempo has really picked up. Deron Johnson on the miss. Now Jones ahead to Coulter. Coulter switching. No look. Marhold fouled by Woodall.
Terrific transition play by Coulter. He gets in the paint. He's under control. He has his head up. Nice drop off for the foul.
The 4th team foul on Pitt. And this will put Andre Marhold at the line. 6'6" senior from Charlotte, North Carolina. One of the more experienced players on the court for Duquesne. And Jim Ferry telling us earlier today that they really need Marhold to have a rebounding presence in the game. Pontefract comes back in as Winters checks out for Duquesne. In and out. Patterson gets it for Pittsburgh.
Free throws are important for the Duquesne team. They average 26 attempts in their wins.
That's one thing too, and you know, as a coach, you work on them every day, over and over and over, and then you see them missed in a game. Does it get frustrating for a coach to watch teams where the players miss them every now and then?
Well, I think the challenge, Tim, is that ends up being a bigger turnaround than just missing those free throws in case there's a score on the other end.
Adams had 3 shots at the apple and missed them all. Coulter running the other way. He scores.
They're going to have to get him stopped in transition. Pittsburgh's on their heels in transition. Coulter's been in the paint 2 trips in a row now. Good plays by him.
Derek Coulter. He leads Duquesne in single game assists. Has done so 6 different times. He's gone to the scoring column here tonight. Patterson dumps it off. Talib Zana long jumper. Adams got a hand on it but couldn't catch it. Sean Johnson the other way, changing direction, and he will score. He's fouled, and Sean Johnson will go to the line for a possible 3-point play.
A couple outstanding plays in transition by Duquesne. I think the thing that Jim Ferry's got to be most pleased with right now, though, is just they are attacking the basket fearlessly right now. That's the style that he wants to play. That's what they need to do to have an opportunity to win this game in a big rivalry game. And they are playing completely fearless right now in the way they attack the basket.
5 points for Johnson. He needs 13 more for 1,000 in his career. They get 6 now for him, and that ties the game at 15.
5-0 run, all on transition points. Pittsburgh's got to get back and get that solid defense set.
3rd time the game has been tied. It started to pull away just a little bit, and Duquesne fought their way back.
One of the things Duquesne's doing that's really bothering Pittsburgh is anytime there's side ball screen action on the side of the floor, they're forcing it to the sideline, not letting them come off middle.
Talib Zana with a good second effort, got the ball to fall. Trey Ziegler is in the game, coming off a 2-game suspension. for a recent brush with the law that resulted in a DUI charge against him. So he was suspended for 2 games and reinstated and is on the floor right now. That one way off the mark, and that is out of bounds off of Woodall. That'll go back to Duquesne. 7:26 left first half. Pitt leads by a bucket, 17-15 at the Consol Energy Center in the City game. (17-15). Pitt leading Duquesne, the Big East, and the A-10 going at it here tonight. Well, crossover, that's the name of the game when you're handling the basketball. Adams had opportunity after opportunity, couldn't get it to go, and Duquesne took advantage.
Steven Adams has got to gather himself, go strong on balance, and you see Pittsburgh not stopping the basketball. Coulter with the crossover in transition to the bucket, and now Johnson with the crossover in transition into the bucket. Pittsburgh's got to get out and get that basketball stopped.
Duquesne puts the ball in bound. Abelli, the 7-footer, back in for the Dukes. Pitt's bench so far has not contributed scoring-wise. 0 for 7 shooting. He's off the bench. Adams gets another rebound. He's been very good on the defensive glass so far. Robinson, he is fallen on. No call made. And now Duquesne running the other way. Johnson kicks it out. Here's Jones for 3. And Robinson picks up the rebound, and now Pitt with possession. Trey Ziegler is a transfer from Central Michigan where he played for his dad, Ernie. The connection, Ernie, head coach with Ben Howland on the Pitt staff before Ben took the UCLA job. So when Ernie left Central Michigan, Ziegler also wanted to leave, and a natural place for him to come would have been Pitt, place where he spent a couple of years in high school.
Steven Adams with his 6th offensive rebound. That's the thing that he has to focus on. Run the floor, rebound, all the other stuff is going to come. He's too talented.
He's already in double figures with rebounds, 6 on the offensive end, 5 on the defensive end, 11 rebounds for Adams. He is poised to have a very big night in that category. Robinson for 3. Got it. James Robinson from Mitchellville, Maryland, the all-time winningest player at DeMatha High School in 4 seasons as a starter there, 120 wins.
It's a lot of wins, and especially when you talk about the caliber of players that have come out of DeMatha High School over the years.
Robinson also a very good defender. It's not often you see freshmen starting for the Jamie Dixon team, but both Adams and Robinson started on opening night and have started each night since. Ponteflek. And the rebound to Zana. Ziegler, offensive foul as he dipped his shoulder. and knocked over Sean Johnson. Johnson slowing it up.
Anytime you lower your shoulder and extend it, whether the defense is really set or squared up on you or not, look for the defense to get the benefit on that call.
Now there's been a seesaw affair in recent minutes. Pitt went on a 5-0 run, then Duquesne countered with a 5-0 run of their own, and then Pitt on another 5-0 run.
Talib Zana's been quiet tonight, comes into the game leading them in rebounding and scoring for the Panthers.
Well, Belly has some blood on him. They've got to get that off. Not sure if that's his or somebody else's. Maybe his, because they're wrapping up the other arm, his left arm. The blood they wiped off was from the back of his right arm. Senior out of Latvia, transfer from Radford. Appeared in 6 games last year, but then had some problems academically, became ineligible. And now looking forward to putting in a full shift this year. And the way that he can play inside, he could be a force in the middle in the A-10.
He is a big body. It's caused some problems for Pittsburgh tonight already.
Long pass, Pontefract in and out on the 3. Ziegler battling for the loose ball. And Trey Ziegler looking up the floor, finds Wright. Wright foul as he went to the basket. Foul will be called on Derek Coulter.
One of the things about being a three-point shooting team, and we know that Duquesne is going to attempt at least 24 a game, is that long shots equal long rebounds, and especially when they come out of the corner, they can lead to transition. And Pittsburgh gets out, gets to the rim, now they're going to the line.
First foul on Coulter. That's the 7th team foul, so now Pittsburgh will be in the bonus for the remainder of the first half. Wright knocks down the first one. Substitution for Duquesne as Winters comes back in for Pontefract. Wright 1 for 2. Zana gets the rebound. Trying to force his way into a belly. And the foul is going to be called. Nope, a double dribble. Beg your pardon. Another turnover. And Zana commits that turnover. It's a 21-15 Pitt lead. 6 points the advantage with just over 4.5 minutes to go in the first half. Penny pass off to Coulter. Duquesne moving the ball around the perimeter right now, looking for an opening. Shot clock at 11. In and out. And more the rebound. Taken away. They tried to pass it through Jerry Jones, and Coulter had it stripped cleanly, but it went out of bounds off of Trey Woodall. And Duquesne will maintain possession with 31 seconds to shoot once they put it in play.
It was a big-time defensive play by Trey Woodall to be able to keep him in front and deflect the basketball out of bounds without fouling.
Robinson comes back in for Pittsburgh. Ziegler will take a seat. Down to a belly. They tried that same play other way, and that time a foul is committed. And the foul will be called on J.J. Moore. So a belly on the inbound, trying to drive to the basket. J.J. Moore got in the way and committed the personal foul. Well, that's Pittsburgh Penguins head coach Dan Bilesma, who normally watches his team skate in this building. There is no ice on the floor right now. There's no NHL right now. So with not all that much to do, this morning Coach Bilesma was shooting around on this floor. Not with a hockey stick either. Well, thanks for checking out tonight's game on ESPN3. And join us again this Saturday at 7 p.m. as we have more Big East action for you. Pitt faces North Florida from the Peterson Event Center. So log on to watchespn.com this Saturday, December 8th at 7 p.m. for North Florida at Pittsburgh. Trey Woodall back on the floor for Pitt, senior out of Brooklyn.
Big defensive possession for the Dukes, Tim. Want to keep it at 2 possessions if you can headed into halftime here.
A low scoring first half so far. Remember, Duquesne had a 6-minute drought after scoring the game's first basket. They've tied the game 3 different times. Moore with 5 seconds on the timer. Kevin Winters reaching up for the rebound. Stop and popped by Coulter. Rebound to Duquesne. This time Coulter with a left hand passes out to Benny, but Benny had a heel on the sideline, and that's a turnover for Duquesne. Basketball back to Pitt. That's the 5th turnover for Jim Ferry's Dukes.
Well, that's a mistake in spacing right there, but prior to that, a clinic on spacing, offensive rebound, kick out, drive it, kick it, reverse it, swing it, really moving the basketball well. The challenge has been rebounding the basketball and not making threes. 2 for 10 right now.
Well, one thing about Duquesne, their story last year, one of the worst rebounding teams in the country. They did have a lot of success on the floor in other ways under head coach Ron Everhart then. Everhart now an assistant at West Virginia, who they will play next week here at the Consol Energy Center. Duquesne will. But they have done a much better job in terms of rebounding. Pitt now is on a 9-0 run and has extended their lead since the game was tied at 15. Coulter guarded by Wright. Now a screen by Marhold to switch up. Benny trying to drive. Runs out of room in front of Adams, and Pitt takes over. It was 15-15 at the 8-12 mark. Oh, Moore missed the long jumper. So again, another 6-minute drought for Duquesne. You can't have 2 of those in a half.
No, you can, and they're resulting because they're not scoring in transition enough. All of their scoring's been in transition. They're having a hard time in the half court, although there's a nice finish right there inside.
Andre Marhold with a basket. He's a guy who grew a lot from the 7th to the 10th grade. He went from 5'7" to 6'5". And that's when the basketball coaches really started taking notice.
Not a lot of 5'7" recruits out there.
No. A lot more 6'5" recruits. Out of bounds back to Pitt. 20 seconds on the shot clock. Sean Johnson coming back in the ball game for Duquesne. Johnson out of Queens. He's a junior. Here's Woodall on the inbound. 3-ball. Got it. Trey Woodall for 3. Jamie Dixon begging for a short timeout, but he didn't get it.
Jerry Jones doesn't get through the screen, gives Trey Woodall a second straight 3-pointer.
Here's a turnover for Duquesne. The steal by Wright. Pass to Robinson, up and under, no good. Moore couldn't finish it up. Woodall fouled on the way up. And Woodall will go to the line to shoot 2. And the foul will be called on Kevin Winters. Robinson took a hard fall on the way down.
Pittsburgh doing an outstanding job on the glass, getting almost 50% of the misses back. They're not finishing great, but they're back at the foul line, which is an opportunity to score and set their defense again.
Largest lead for Pitt now at 11. Woodall extends that to an even dozen. Woodall with Pittsburgh's last 8 points. Just over a minute on the clock in half number 1. Coming up at the half, we'll take a look at the difference between the preseason polls and the standings in both the Big East and the Atlantic 10. There is a big difference. Whistle, and that ball is out of bounds. Looked like it hit Jerry Jones of Duquesne, so Pittsburgh will have it.
And one of the things that makes Trey Woodall so good is he knows what his team needs and he delivers. Struggling to score in this game, has their last 8 points.
Now Pitt could run a little bit of clock. There's an 11-second differential shot clock to game clock here. So they can't run it all the way down. Robinson gets a high screen from Adams. Shot clock is down to 7. Woodall, the step back. No, more the rebound. He can't get the putback to follow. And timeout called by Jim Ferry. The Dukes want to talk this one over with 11 2/10 left in half number 1.
So frustrating as a coach, Tim, when you've got it at 7 points, you haven't played great, you've been worried about rebounding coming into the game, you don't rebound well, you're still about a couple possession game, then you give up a 3 and several offensive rebounds, and now you're down 12. Hopefully they can get something good here heading into the half to get a little momentum, but very easily could have been a 1 or 2 possession game were it not for the turnovers and the offensive rebounding that they've given up.
At the half, Big East and A-10 preview as we see where these two teams stand just prior to heading into conference play. It's not that far away. Plus we'll have the highlights of the first half and our first half stats. A 12-point lead for Pitt. And now Pitt sees how Duquesne lines up, and they want to talk this one over. Talk about the strategy a little bit. What is going on with Jamie Dixon? Why does he do that?
Well, sometimes you want to get different personnel on the floor. Maybe you're thinking about switching something that you wouldn't normally switch. This is essentially a late game situation at the end of the half. You might want to sub somebody else in, or after you get the alignment, though they didn't really get to see the alignment of that one. After you see the alignment, call timeout and try to tell your guys what's coming from scouting. But the bottom line is here at the end of the half, you want to make sure that you don't give up any threes and you don't foul a jump shot.
So Duquesne's got the length of the floor to go under 10 seconds. Trying to get this back to a 10-point game, maybe single digits. That's in and out.
Great look.
Ball still being battled for on the floor. No shot after the first one. So Pitt ends the half on a big run, 14-2 after the game was tied at 15. A little bit over 8 minutes remaining in the half, and then it became all Pittsburgh. Trey Woodall was a big part of that run for the Panthers. Their halftime score 29-17 in favor of Pittsburgh. This is the 81st City game at the Consol Energy Center. Our halftime activities are next. Back at the Consol Energy Center in downtown Pittsburgh, Duquesne and Pitt, the city game. We are at the half, along with former South Carolina coach Darren Horn. I'm Tim Neverett. You know, when you look at the Big East and how things were in the preseason poll, well, it's often just before the actual conference season begins, things often change. And this was the preseason poll, Coach, where Pittsburgh was ranked 6th, but they're doing a little bit better than that with their preseason schedule.
Well, there's no question about that. They've had a terrific start, and when you look at that, those top 6 teams have a chance to do a lot of damage.
7-1 for Pitt, tied with Notre Dame and Louisville, one of the top teams in the nation right now. Cincinnati, a perfect 7-0 with Syracuse 6-0 right behind them. So that's the Big East picture. The Atlantic 10 picture, a little bit different. 16 teams competing in the Atlantic 10, and for the Duquesne Dukes, under first-year head coach Jim Ferry, they were picked to finish dead last. But as they have started out the season, that certainly hasn't been the case. They came into this game tonight with a winning record of 4-3.
Well, Jim's brought that scoring with him from LIU, where they finished in the top 5 in the country the last 2 years. And you look at this league, it's a terrific league. VCU's far from the 10th best team in that league.
So Duquesne will have their challenges this year, but it's a very, very balanced Atlantic 10. So the A-10 standings look like that so far. When we come back at the half, we'll take a look at the first half highlights. They're playing for the Dapper Dan Trophy here in Pittsburgh. We'll continue our halftime activities in just a moment. (29-17), Pitt leading Duquesne at the half. And a big end to the first half for Pittsburgh. The game was tied at 15, but a big run, 14-2 for Pitt. Put them in front by their largest margin. Trey Woodall leading the way with 14 first half points. 10 out of 37 from the field for Pitt, 7 for 29 for Duquesne, and 2 of those were dunks by Abelli. 3-point field goals, just 2 for 12 for the Dukes, 5 for 10 for Pittsburgh. Rebounds, a big difference there. 30-19, Steven Adams with a career-high 11, 6 of them on the defensive glass.
Well, they've got 13 of their 27 misses back, which is a huge number. And another key stat is the points off turnovers. Turnover numbers are about the same, Tim, but Pittsburgh has turned that into 7 points in a game that only has a 12-point differential, and Duquesne has 0.
That's a big number there, that big 0. 29-17. Those are your numbers at the half. When we come back, we'll take a look at the first half highlights. It's the 81st City game here on ESPN3. Great look at downtown Pittsburgh. It's Wednesday night. Pitt with a 12-point lead over Duquesne, 29-17 with Darren Horn, Tim Neverett. We thought prior to this game that rebounding would be a big key for both teams. Duquesne needs it to be, but it's been a bigger key for Pitt.
Well, it's been huge, and a big part of that has been Steven Adams on the offensive glass, Tim. Unbelievable numbers for him in one half. They've got 50% of their misses back, and it's a big reason that they've been able to shoot pretty well from three. They've got a couple of those on offensive rebound kickouts.
And as far as Duquesne goes, they're trying to use some speed in transition, but again, the points off of turnovers have not been there. They have not had success in transition off of a Pitt turnover, but at the same time, they have shown some good things offensively, things that probably will benefit them in the A-10.
Well, they've had good spacing. They moved the ball well. As you mentioned, there have been some highlights in transition. There just hasn't been enough of it. And they've got to get to the foul line, and they've got to make threes to be successful. That's how they've been able to win the games that they have. And right now they're 2 of 10 from the three, and they're not getting to the foul line.
Duquesne broke the ice with the first basket. Sean Johnson with a three-pointer. Looked like the Dukes were off to a hot start.
Well, those are the best threes to get when you're in transition, especially when you play the way that Duquesne plays. And here you see Johnson attacking the basket in transition. They're so much better when the floor is open and they're moving the basketball. They're not as good executing in the half court, although you see excellent execution on the finish right there from a belly. But they've really got to get out and try to pick up the speed and the tempo of this game in the second half.
As far as Pitt is concerned, well, three-pointers, pretty big key early on, but Adams was an inside presence.
Well, he could be one of the better offensive rebounders in the country. You see his finish there. And then inside-out threes. And three different guys hit him. And Trey Woodall is the guy that finished it off at the half. They're shooting a really poor percentage from the field, but they're 5 of 10 from the three-point line, which is a great percentage, and the reason that they're up 12 now at the break.
Well, they play for this, the Dapper Dan Trophy. That'll be presented at the conclusion of this one. Pittsburgh has won it 11 straight times. Second half just around the corner from the Consol Energy Center. College basketball on ESPN3 is brought to you by Allstate. 29-17, Pitt leading Duquesne as we get set to start the second half with former South Carolina coach Darren Horn. I'm Tim Neverett. Glad you're along watching college basketball with us tonight. The outset of our telecast, we gave you the one-on-one watching Sean Johnson and Trey Woodall. Well, Woodall's given us perhaps a little bit more to watch.
Well, he's been outstanding, especially from the three-point line, and he's hit them at crucial times to extend the lead at the end of the half. And then Sean Johnson didn't disappoint, not as good as Trey Woodall numbers-wise, but leads his team in scoring and showing some poise and aggressiveness that Duquesne needs in this game so far.
Johnson hopes to do something here in the second half for Duquesne, but Pitt looking for their 8th victory. That's what's most important to Pittsburgh, is to get another win as they continue to get a little closer to conference play. Pittsburgh's defense has been effective so far in the first half, and it wasn't right away, but it took them a little while to make an adjustment.
24% field goal percentage and 16% from the three, which is the area that Duquesne needs to excel in to be their best. So Pittsburgh had an outstanding first half. Let's see if they can build on it in the second half now.
If you can keep your opponents under 56 points a game, you're going to give yourself a good chance to win. Well, Jones will inbound it for Duquesne, and we are back underway. Second half is starting from the Consol Energy Center. This is the city game. Good crowd here tonight. A lot of alums from Pitt and Duquesne still reside and work in the area, so showing up to this one. It's been a well-attended game here since they have gone to the neutral site of either Mellon Arena and now Consol Energy Center. Jones fouled as he goes to the basket. Score the bucket. And the foul's going to be on Adams.
Fumbled it. Oh, no, I lost it. No, I'll just throw a nice behind-the-back pass for a finish there. Excellent pass by Marhold and a great finish at the rim by Jones.
Well, Jeremiah Jones out of Gary, Indiana. He's a freshman, 6'3". Since he joined the starting lineup, the team is 3-0. They started out the year 1-3. They're on a 3-game winning streak. He has been a big part of those 3 consecutive wins. Tim Ferry described him as a 5-tool guy. He can do a lot of different things for you. Now another Pitt foul. This one's going to be on Trey Woodall. That's his second, and team's second so far in the half. Lead for Pittsburgh. Duquesne looking for a little momentum to start the half. Coulter steps back, comes up just short. Ponteflet is fouled by Robinson, and James Robinson his first foul.
Good offensive rebound by Ponteflet right there. Really chased it down. Now let's see if he can get one of those pick and pop three-pointers that he's been so effective with for their team.
Well, we've had 51 seconds played so far in the half, and we've seen 3 Pittsburgh fouls. Jamie Dixon's got more of a scowl on his face to start the second half than he did to end the first. Ponteflet off to Derek Coulter, 11 freshman. Pass to the corner. Zana picked up Sean Johnson. Johnson, a desperation shot. And the loose ball ends up in the hands of Robinson. Woodall with 14 first half points. Zana looks for help. And Pitt slowing it down. Shot clock now under 15. Robinson changing hands. That one partially deflected by Marhold. Now Adams another rebound. That basket will not count. A foul before the shot.
2 outstanding offensive rebounds by Steven Adams. You saw him fade away on the attempt at the putback. That's something that he'll grow into as a player, gathering himself, chinning the basketball, going up strong to the rim and getting and ones.
13th rebound for Adams, and the second foul on Marhold. He spent most of his childhood in the Pittsburgh area. And Trey Woodall now with 17 points.
Be a quick exit for Jones after not trailing on the screen and giving up another three-pointer to Woodall. The other Jones is at the scorer's table.
It'll be Jerry Jones. Johnson up top to Pontefract. There's Coulter getting a screen and the switch off as Patterson now guarding the point guard, Coulter. Shot clock down to 4. Nothing up in the air yet. And that's good. That just beat the timer. Jones makes up for the defensive lapse. Well, a nice shot there, and it's a 10-point lead for Pittsburgh. That was about as late as you could be in getting a shot off without it being a violation. That one had to either go in or hit the rim to avoid having a violation. Coulter pushing the tempo. And a whistle. Let's take a look. Watch the shot clock. It is just going from 1 to 0 when he lets go.
Nice play by Jones to stay under control, get square to the basket, stepping through, and get that shot off cleanly.
Johnson the pull-up. Zana is down with a board for Pittsburgh. Panthers have been dominating the glass here tonight. And a big reason they are where they are score-wise, up by 10. And Coulter, a pair of freshman point guards guarding one another. With all the entry to Adams, and a foul will be called on Marhold. That'll be his third.
Pittsburgh's making a concentrated effort coming out of this half to really play through Trey Woodall to get him touches off the double stack action. That time he gets it inside to Steven Adams on a post ISO, but really make sure the ball's running through Woodall's hands.
Marhold will come out. He'll sit down with 3 fouls, and in is a belly. 7-footer from Latvia. Robinson gave up the dribble, but gave the ball to Patterson. Lob inside for Adams. Battle of 7-footers won by the Kiwi. The New Zealander, Steven Adams, over the Latvian Abeli.
Billy got caught on the top side, which was not the game plan for Duquesne. It was to stay behind and make their bigs finish over top.
Good pass to Abeli, and Patterson with a block. Abeli never saw him coming. Woodall dribbles out of the pack with it. Lob inside for Adams. Fumbled it momentarily, got it back. Adams playing right now with 4 points and 13 rebounds. Points aren't always the thing for the center. It's the rebounds and sometimes the assists. If you funnel the ball to the post, it's the kickout pass that results in points by the shooters. Patterson, long-range jumper, good for 3. And Jim Ferry wants a timeout for Duquesne. 15 minutes, 20 seconds to go in the second half. Patterson's 3 gives Pitt a 37-22 advantage. Long distance from home, 7 threes in the game, and Trey Woodall has 4 of them, and a game-high 17 points. In fact, Woodall with 17, the rest of the Panthers with 20. But Adams has been a force inside in a lot of ways.
Excellent seal by Adams. He walks a belly up the lane. Nice pass over top to the corner of the board. Good catch and finish by the big fella.
Points, 13 rebounds, and counting. Duquesne with a basketball. Johnson met by Adams and Robinson. Sloan shovels it over to Johnson. First 5 minutes of the second half gone by. Johnson couldn't get that to go, and a rebound by Patterson. Patterson spotted up for a moment. Sean Johnson came over there defensively to guard it. Giving him the left hand. Robinson in the lane. A foul is called on Duquesne. Foul will be on a belly. It's his first.
Inside presence makes a big difference. Adams rolls to the basket. Patterson's man has to come in and help on the roll. Frees the throw back to Patterson for 3.
14:44 left in this one. Steven Adams and the Panthers up by 15. The Duquesne fans hoping for a comeback here in the second half. 37-22, 14:44 to go. Still a lot of time for the Dukes to climb back in this one, but they're going to have to start getting hotter from the outside. WatchESPN.com brings you the most live college basketball games on the web. Saturday night, December 15th at 7 p.m. We have another Pitt game for you as Bethune-Cookman travels to the Peterson Event Center to take on the Panthers. Join us right here on WatchESPN.com. Adams with a big night on the glass, 13 boards. Robinson knocks down a free throw, 38-22. That's now the largest lead of the game at 16.
Well, if you're Jamie Dixon, you got to feel really good about the future of who's taking care of the basketball for the teams. Robinson being only a freshman, such a solid player for a freshman.
39-22. And the tip shot good for 3. Sean Johnson, his second three-pointer. And that's what the Dukes need in this second half. More of Sean Johnson. Zanoff to Patterson. Johnson now with 9 points. He's halfway to getting the 18 that he needs for 1,000 in his career. That's certainly not a goal tonight, but a byproduct of a good game if he has one. Patterson with 7 seconds on the shot clock. Adams the putback. Another rebound for Adams, is 14. And the stick back gives him 6.
Might see a 20-rebound night tonight, Tim, if he keeps getting to the glass.
This is what Pitt had hoped for out of Adams. Being just a freshman, they feel that he's going to get better and better and better. Very athletic. The belly inside. Over Adams that time for the bucket.
Nice job of spacing the floor, coming off the ball screen with the throwback entry into a belly. He's going to be better scoring rolling to the basket and not necessarily posting on the block.
Adams against the screen. In the paint, he's stuck. Finds Trey Ziegler. Ziegler came off the bench in the first half. Now seeing minutes here in half number 2. Zana battling for it on the floor. That'll be a held ball situation. And the possession arrow pointing toward Pittsburgh. So they will have the basketball again.
That's why you got to love Zana, Tim. The ball's on the floor. There's 3 red shirts around it. He's the first guy on the floor to get it.
Dixon directing things. 245 wins in 10 years as the head coach at Pitt. It's a good average.
That's an outstanding average. Underrated for what they've accomplished here with the consistency that Jamie showed in his tenure at Pittsburgh.
Moore with the miss, and there is Coulter. Back for Jones. Spots up for 3. He's got it. Now Duquesne looks like they've added some heat to the outside shooters. It's an 11-point game now as they cut down that 16-point lead. Coulter pushing the tempo and setting this one up. Jim Ferry's team known for scoring when he was at LIU Brooklyn, second in the nation in scoring, and back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. And talk to us today about the Duquesne program and its 97th season, saying that they have agreed to make the commitment not only to participate in the A-10, but to win in the Atlantic 10. They've upgraded their practice facility. They've upgraded the Palumbo Center. They're playing some more games in this facility, which is a first-class facility. And they've just got all kinds of things going for them. He loves the city campus, being a city guy from New York himself.
Well, it all starts with commitment, and part of that commitment is to his style of play. Finally got a couple threes to go down. Those are the first 2 threes they've hit since the 11:40 mark of the first half. See if they can build on it.
Woodall with a crossover. An old bounce pass inside for Dante Taylor. Taylor backing in. Little baby hook shot is good. 15 points the advantage. Duquesne looks like they want to score quickly. Are they looking for the first open look, do you think?
I think they want to shoot early in the clock as quick as possible, and if they don't get something good, then mark it down.
Trey Woodall in transition. And Woodall continues to lead this game in scoring. Woodall with 19. B.J. Torres picked up by Woodall, top of the key. Now Winters a long 3. Rebound and a foul is called on Pitt. Dante Taylor committing the personal foul. Jamie Dixon will talk it over with his Panthers up by 15. 45-30, Pittsburgh leading Duquesne. Second half, 11:34 to go. We go in the paint. It's been busy in the paint tonight, Darren.
Well, Pittsburgh's doing a good job getting it inside the second half. There on the set play, over top to Adams. Here a rotation by Belly. Nobody rotates over to block out Adams, who's been terrific on the offensive glass. And I know the Panthers would like to see a lot more of this, and talking to the coaches. Dante Taylor being aggressive and giving them something off the bench. Nice jump hook finish in the paint for him.
Steven Adams been busy. Hold to the basket, no good, and the rebound by Woodall. So Pitt's got Bethune-Cookman on Saturday at the Peterson Event Center. That's their next game. And for Duquesne, they've got New Orleans at the Palumbo Center at home.
Outstanding defensive possession by Jerry Jones there. Really aggressive on the wing. Creates a turnover. Those are the kind of plays that Jim Ferry wants to see from him.
And Jones whips it to Winters. Torres trying to set him a screen. Giving the hook pass back. Wide open look this time. And that one is in and out. Jeremiah Jones gets his own rebound. Follow won't go. Ball loose along the baseline. Who's got it? Looks like it's going to go back to Pittsburgh off of Duquesne. Pittsburgh has turned the ball over 7 times in the first half, just twice so far in the second. And taking advantage of a Duquesne turnover here. There's Moore up to Ziegler. Trey Woodall pull-up pop. Too long. Jerry Jones the rebound for Duquesne. All the way toward the basket was Torres, and Marhold there for the rebound and the putback.
Duquesne having some success with the middle ball screen, being able to get in the paint, create some switches, and have some throwbacks. They've got to stay aggressive offensively. There's a lot of time left in this game.
And if there is a lot of time and you see yourself with a double-digit lead, when is the time you want to take time off the clock? Patterson on the bucket.
It's a long time from now. You get down under that last timeout, depending on the lead and what kind of team you have as well. Then you start thinking about that a little bit more.
Steal by Moore. 2-on-1 with Patterson. The lob for Moore. Oh, a two-handed alley-oop jam. Highlight reel material. J.J. Moore and Lamar Patterson involved in our All-State Good Hands play of the game, and why not? That's the big finish for J.J. Moore. Well, he won the Throwdown Showdown dunk competition prior to the start of the season. He might be considered the team's best athlete all in all. Certainly could be considered the team's best dunker. And this gave us some more evidence. Ties the largest lead at 17. Let's take a look from up high. Steal and then the finish.
When Jamie Dixon watches the film, the thing he's going to like is that it all started with defense.
Ball's tipped and taken away. Another 2-on-1, now a 3-on-1. As Dante Taylor got in the mix, and Woodall fouled as he went to the basket. Taylor came hard down the middle of the floor to create this 3-on-1.
You got to love the unselfishness of Pittsburgh and how they play, especially in transition. We've saw it in these last 2 trips. They're a team that has a 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio as a team. That's outstanding.
20 points now for Woodall.
One of the challenges if you're Jim Ferry right now, Tim, is you're down 18. There's still a lot of time left in this game, and one of the things you're trying to do, besides win the game, obviously, is instill a style of play and a mentality that you want to attack the game with, especially with this up-tempo style. So keeping his guys focused on that and staying aggressive is going to be really important in these last 9 minutes for him.
21 for Woodall now, and the largest lead of the game now at 19. Kevin Winters inside, Pontefract. Dante Taylor just outreached him. Pitt's outsizing him underneath without the big man Abelli in the game. Line pass underneath, and Patterson nearly caught the Duquesne defense sleeping with that pass to Ziegler. Skip pass, and Ziegler had to do all he could to get a hand on it, but a turnover for Pitt, and the ball back to Duquesne. It's the 10th turnover for Pittsburgh in the game. Jamie Dixon telling us last week that he grew a lot too. He talked about the time he was in high school as a skinny 17-year-old. He thought he was TCU's last recruit. Ended up doing very well there. And when he went to play professionally in New Zealand, that's when he started dunking. He never dunked when he was in college or in high school or anything. Just waited until he was in the pros before he put his first one down in a game.
Well, and now that's good for him, because had he dunked in college, maybe he wouldn't have ended up in New Zealand. And now he's got Steven Adams because of it.
That's right. Funny how things work out. Foul inside on J.J. Moore at Pitt. So for Moore, his first personal. And he'll take a seat. 8:21 remaining in the game. This is the 6th straight year Duquesne has come into the city game with a winning record. 9 times in the last 27 meetings that has been the case, but they've done it 6 times in a row. Coulter down the middle. Nice move, and a left hand lays it in. Eric Coulter. He's got explosive speed. Not a real big guard, but he can explode to the basket.
Really like what Jim Ferry is doing here, changing the game up a little bit. They've got a deficit. There's still some time left. Let's switch it up with a 3-quarter pressure. They're showing a little zone. Again, not just trying to win this game, but teaching his guys where you got to find a way to win basketball games long term.
Well, Derek Coulter getting to the basket. Duquesne a little closer. It's 51-34 Pitt. (51-34) Pitt in front. 7:48 to go in this one. Duquesne will travel to State College to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions right here on WatchESPN.com. Join us Saturday afternoon, December 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to see that A-10 Big Ten matchup right here. Dukes and the Nittany Lions right after Christmas. Dan Bilesma is just shown on the big screen here, so the folks know that the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins is in attendance. Word is tonight that the players have made an offer to the owners in the NHL. But, no word from the owners as to what they're going to do as they're trying to get closer to starting their season. In the meantime, the head coach of the Penguins taking a hoop game. Well, Pitt's had some impressive runs, some shutout type of runs. You want to talk about offense and defense. Ponteflet misses. Jones the rebound. And can't get that one to go. Another rebound for Patterson. 5-0, 6-0, 2-7-0 runs and a 9-0 run for Pitt. Johnson missing on the three. Taylor battling for it. And Winters ends up with it in his hand. Out of bounds off of Dante Taylor, so Duquesne with the possession.
Duquesne's missing a bunch of easy shots around the basket, which is hurting them, but they're a result of their style of play and their spacing and the three-point shooting that they're doing. That's something that they'll make a strength for their team as they move through the season and get more accustomed to their style of play.
Winters knocks down a three. It's 51-37. Pitt looking for some more rebounds, so Steven Adams back in the ball game.
One of the great things about Jim Ferry's style is you're never completely out of it if there's time on the clock.
Woodall to Robinson. Patterson to Woodall. Pitt works the shot clock down under 10 seconds. Robinson with 5 to shoot. Good drive. And he'll bank it off the glass for 2. Well, Robinson doing a nice job tonight. Freshman point guard. Very much under control with that shot. He seems very calm under pressure.
Plays well beyond his years. Has great pace and poise to his game.
Johnson throws it up over Patterson and scores. And do you expect Duquesne maybe to take some more chances here and almost be a little bit more wild?
Well, the dilemma Jim Ferry has is that he's switching up defenses, trying to create some bad shots, maybe some transition turnovers, but the way that he's doing it is taking a lot of time off the clock because they're dropping back zone. And it's going to get to a point here where they are going to have to speed it up and take a few chances.
Wide open look at a three, and Patterson knocks it down.
And you got to get a stop somewhere.
56-39, Lamar Patterson connecting on the three-point field goal. Coulter lost a handle on it out of bounds. That'll go back to Pitt. So Jamie Dixon having some words with his coaches at this point in time. Watch the ball movement here for Pittsburgh.
Anytime you can get the ball to the baseline and then the middle and kick it out, you've got an opportunity to get a good look against zone.
Patterson now with 13 points for the Panthers. Woodall, the leading scorer in the game, with 21. Woodall inside. Adams with a one-handed jam. An authoritative announcement of his presence. Ball going back to Pitt. 8 points now for Adams. He's 2 away from a double-double.
Trey Woodall does so many little things that go unnoticed. That play all started with a simple ball fake to the corner, jump stop under control, and the drop off to the big fellow for the finish.
Under 5 minutes to go in this one. The 81st city game in Pittsburgh. These two city schools separated by a few windy roads in downtown, and a couple of hills. There's a three-pointer on the way, and that's good for Woodall. Woodall now with 24 points. 61-39. Pitt pulling away from Duquesne.
Tim, you have to credit Pittsburgh for how they've handled the change in defenses. The last 4 possessions, they've had basket in the paint, 3, basket in the paint, 3. All with great patience and shot selection.
Patterson fouled as he goes to the rack. He'll go to the line to shoot 2. Pontiflet, rather. Kadeem Pontiflet committing the personal foul. P.J. Torres, beg your pardon, on the foul.
Steven Adams impacting the game again in a way other than scoring.
Well, Plaxico Burress recently signed with the Steelers. He is here in attendance, taking in the city game.
I bet Plaxico can hoop, Tim. What do you bet?
I'm guessing. A lot of those guys that play the skill positions in football, very good athletes, and can do a number of different things. Lamar Patterson at the line. Patterson, the junior from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Older brother Perry played quarterback at Syracuse. So Patterson comes from a very athletic family. Zana gets the bucket. He's been rather quiet tonight. When you look at the difference in points scored and how Pitt's been playing, it gives you an idea of the depth of this team this year as compared to a year ago where they struggled, especially in the Big East.
There's no question, Tim. They've got their leading scorer and rebounder who hasn't produced a whole lot tonight, and yet they're playing an outstanding game and getting a lot of production from other guys.
Jeremiah Jones, the basket the other way. So, timeout with 3:47 to go. Jamie Dixon's Panthers up big on the Dukes of Duquesne. (63-41). Pitt leading Duquesne. 3:47 left in this one, and Trey Woodall has been the man tonight for Pittsburgh.
This makes them a very dangerous basketball team, Tim, when Trey Woodall is knocking down shots from the outside with his ability to create. It really gives them a whole nother dimension that makes them a very good basketball team. And how about this stat? We said three-point shooting was going to be key for Duquesne. How about Trey Woodall by himself has the same number of makes that the entire Duquesne team has?
That's right. Duquesne with 5 and Woodall 5 for 8 from 3. 24 for Woodall. Patterson next with 13. Robinson 9, the freshman, along with Adams with 8. And Adams with a career-high 14 rebounds. 9 of them coming on the offensive glass. Remember, at one point he was out doing himself on the defensive side, but that was early in the game. So Robinson guarded by Torres. And the screen by Adams. Ball down the lane, hangs. Adams battling for it. Zana also battling for it. It's out of bounds on Duquesne. Jerry Jones, the last Duke to touch it, so Pitt will have it. And 34 seconds on the shot clock. Basically a fresh shot clock.
That plays another example of Steven Adams impacting the game without it showing up in the stat sheet. He's the one that kept the basketball alive.
Adams thought about the shot, but no reason to take it right there.
The fans all want him to shoot, but he's headed for a double-double without taking any of those.
That's right. be a first for his career if he gets a double-double. Cam Wright knocks it down. Smooth jumper for Cameron Wright. Sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio. His family lives here in Pittsburgh now.
We talked about earlier about clock management if you're ahead. JMU Dixon's team doing a really nice job inside 4 minutes here of using clock and really doing a good job of executing what they want to run.
Wright with the smooth release. Cam Wright, one of the first guys off the bench for Dixon. Trey Woodall, there's 24 points. He'll have a seat. He'll get a nice round of applause. Trey Ziegler coming in for him. J.J. Moore also in for Pitt. And Duquesne looking to score quickly, but Wright reaching in, knocked the ball away from Jeremiah Jones. Jones last to touch it. That's out of bounds. So Woodall 7 for 14 from the field. 5 of those 7 3-pointers. 24 points total. He also contributed with 5 rebounds. P.J. Torres looked like he got poked in his right eye. He's basically defending Robinson with one eye. Ew, up and under for Moore. Now Torres will fight through his vision, come down the floor, give it off to Jones for the lay-in, and a quick timeout for Duquesne. Jerry Jones, the junior from Detroit, who plays 3 different positions for the Dukes, and he'll have to do it against these opponents coming up. New Orleans on Saturday is their next opponent. Tuesday, right here at the Consol Energy Center, they renew their series with the West Virginia Mountaineers. And another in-city rivalry game. It's at Robert Morris the following Saturday. Broncos of Western Michigan will come in and on to Louisiana right before Christmas. Jim Ferry in his 15th season overall as a head coach. 258 and 171, but 4-3 in his first year at Duquesne.
This team is going to continue to get better as the year moves on, as they get used to Jim Ferry's style of play, understanding their roles. They've got a young team that's going to mature as they get more experience. Look for them to continue to grow as the season moves on.
Under 2 minutes to go on this one. All right, guarded closely by Jones.
Jerry Jones can really guard when he wants to, Tim. He's got to stay focused on that. That could be a huge impact for their team.
Just trying to work the clock, but Wright will throw up a jumper. No good. He's fouled on the perimeter by Jerry Jones. Upcoming for Pitt Saturday right here on Watch ESPN, ESPN 3. Next couple of games. North Florida, and then Bethune-Cookman, Delaware State on the 19th. Kennesaw State right before Christmas, and on New Year's Eve on ESPN 2. Big East action starts with Cincinnati.
That's going to be a tremendous Big East opener for both those teams, both outstanding teams, veteran guard play. They played very well to start. They're both counting on young players to impact their team as well. It's going to be a really tough game to start league play.
So Steven Adams take a seat for the night. He will not get the double-double. He'll finish with 8 points and a career-high 14 rebounds. Torres tries a bullet pass, and it's off the hands of Abelli. Out of bounds, back to Pitt. What a night for the youngster from Rotorua in New Zealand. His sister is a 2-time gold medalist in the shot put, both in Beijing and in London. Comes from an athletic family, comes from a very tall family, where 6 of his brothers have participated in professional basketball in New Zealand, some for the national team. And you might expect Steven Adams to get some attention from their national team for the upcoming Olympics in Rio de Janeiro in 2016, perhaps. Jim Ferry talking it over. And when you're behind like this, what kind of coaching points do you make to your team?
You talk about keep playing the game, staying focused on the things that you need to do to execute, regardless of what the score is right now. You're not playing, obviously, at this point to win the game. You're playing to continue to win moving forward and learning how to execute in situations.
Do you play just to win possessions?
No question. You know, right now they want to do a good job. He's probably called a pressure defense. Last time they picked up full, which they haven't done prior to that. So let's work on that late game, which we may need in a close game on the road in conference play.
Well, Duquesne will lose a couple of seniors off this team. Still have a lot of younger players on their way up, and Jim will be able to bring in some of his own. So Johnson now with 13 points. He needed 18 tonight to get 1,000 for his career, so we'll see if he has to wait until the New Orleans game on Saturday to accomplish that feat. But he certainly will get 1,000 points, playing in his 101st college game. That's a lot of college games to play in.
Well, you get to 1,000 by being a prolific scorer or by playing in a lot of games.
Torres gives it back out to Johnson. And trying for those extra points, didn't get them. Zana got the rebound. Just about a minute to go in this one. Pitt up by 21. Their average margin of victory has been 20-plus points, so they're right where they feel they should be at this point in time. But as a coach, also, you'll go back both when you win a game like this and when you lose a game like this. But in Jamie Dixon's case, he'll find all kinds of things wrong, won't he?
Well, the goal is always to get better because everybody is playing for March. And so he's going to find things that he wants to make sure that they get better and get cleaned up, especially prior to league play starting at the end of this month.
Ziegler at the line. Woodall and Adams. Big contributors in this one. Ziegler short on the free throw. On to Flett. Out of the head to Kevin Winters. Ziegler tied him up. But the possession arrow favoring Duquesne, so they'll have the ball with 43.5 seconds to go. Pittsburgh will go to 8-1 with a victory here. They'll win their 12th straight city game, the longest such streak in this series that began back in 1932. And the shot clock is dead. Pitt's going to run it out. Jamie Dixon just told Ziegler to hold on, and Jim Ferry telling his team it's all right to back off at this point. So Pitt is going to come away with a victory as the final seconds will tick off at the Consol Energy Center. And Pitt will win this game by a 66-45 score. 21-point victory for the Pittsburgh Panthers. Jamie Dixon picks up his 246th win. It's the 1,501st win in Pittsburgh history. Trey Woodall leads all scorers with 24 points. Big night for Woodall. He had 5 threes. And Adams, a career high in rebounds with 14. Big night for those two.
Well, Steven Adams was outstanding tonight. I know Jamie Dixon's got to be really pleased with that. He'll continue to grow as a player. Trey Woodall played like the veteran stud guard that he is for them. And the battle on the glass and the way they shot the ball from 3 was the difference.
So that's going to do it for us here at the Consol Energy Center. The city game in the books, the 81st one, won by Pittsburgh, their 12th straight. 66-45 is the final score. For Darren Horn, I'm Tim Neverett and our entire Pittsburgh crew here in downtown. Join us Saturday at 7 p.m. for more Pitt basketball. They take on North Florida. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on the family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.